Hey everybody, let's talk Hondo tall top cowboy boots or buckaroo boots today. I got a question the other day and I don't remember where it came from, but somebody asked, which are the best Hondo tall top cowboy boots? Now a tall top cowboy boot is something that's taller than 14 inches, can be 16 inches or even taller. The practicality of a tall cowboy boot is that this big piece of leather here would help protect cowboys' legs from the brush while riding and working. So these are very practical working cowboy boots. All right. And here's the thing with Hondo boots that makes this question, it's kind of hard to answer because pretty much all Hondos are built exactly the same. They're all built very traditionally. So what that means is that they have a traditional leather insole down here. It's a hard surface, which is how cowboy boots should be made, in my opinion. Now, there might be some Hondos out there now that Hondos are in Cavenders that have a removable foam insole, just something simple to give you a little bit of cushion because that hard surface is shocking to a lot of new cowboy boot wearers, but you don't really need it. And another thing that makes Hondo a little bit different is that they have a leather heel counter. A lot of manufacturers in the same price range as Hondo is going to use a Solastic back here, which is it's a fabric that when you wet, it becomes hard, but it's not as hard or as durable as leather is, so it will often crack, and once you get a crack in the counter and it starts sagging, you're pretty much done. The whole support of the boot is just shot, so this needs to be leather back here if you're going to use a boot for working, for cowboy work. And the other thing that makes Hondos a little bit different, and all Hondos are made like this, is the fact that the welt here is sewn directly on the underside of the insole, and then the sole, this part right here, is sewn to that. In a lot of other manufactured boots in the same price range, what they'll do is glue a rib in here, a cloth rib, and then sew the welt to that, which isn't super durable. So the traditional build of a channeled welt just makes it way more durable and actually easier to repair once you get a hole in this outsole. So basically all Hondos are built like that, and those are the main features that make them a traditional build, and they're actually really, really well priced. This is the best value boot that you're gonna get, around $300 to $350. Hondos are cheaper than Tacovas, and they are by far, not even arguably, better. Hondo is better than Tacovas by far, and they're cheaper. So a tall top Hondo, it really comes down to what are you looking for in a boot? And there are like three very slight differences between the models that we can go through here so that you can decide which tall top Hondo will be best for you, but it will really depend on what you're looking for in a cowboy boot. And part of that is whether you're gonna be using the tall top boot for actual cowboy work or not. And it doesn't matter whether you do or not. It's nice to have a Hondo just because this is the truest cowboy boot in its price range. Hands down, bar none, argue with me, you can't. This is the best boot in the price range. The first small difference between Hondo tall tops that you're gonna come across is basically the heel size. So all Hondo tall tops will have a 2-inch heel probably or more. And it really comes down to whether you want a 2-inch heel or a 2¼ inch heel. And if you're looking inside of a boot and you're wondering which one it is, you can see here that it says 5'4". 5-4, and those numbers are, this is a 5 toe and this is a 4 heel. So a 4 heel is a 2-inch heel. If you look inside this one, it says 12.5S. So that means it has a 12 toe, which is Hondo's square toe. It has a 5 heel, which is a 2¼ inch heel, and a spur shelf. That's what the S stands for. So it really comes down to whether you want a 2-inch heel or a 2¼ inch heel. Let's talk about the next thing that makes tall tops a little bit different, and I kind of helped myself into it here with the spur shelf, all right? So a spur shelf is exactly what it sounds like. you're gonna put your Spurs on here, and this is a Spur Rest, a Spur Ridge. There's lots of different names for this piece right here, but basically, you put Spurs on there, and they rest right here. They stop at this heel. There are other boots like this 2670 that don't have it. So, you know, cowboys will argue a bunch about so many different things. There are so many different preferences. There's lots of cowboys out there who say, what do you need a Spur shelf for? You don't really need it. It'll work fine. Spurs will work fine on a boot like this. Others out there say, no, it's just easier. So yeah, give me a boot with a Spur shelf. If you're just a casual boot wearer, you really don't need a Spur shelf. Like, it's not really necessary. It can help you stack your jeans. Like, if you really like to stack a lot and have your jeans bunch, then your jeans will stop at this Spur ridge, which will keep you from walking on your jeans like you might with this kind of boot that doesn't have a Spur ridge. It's just your jeans are gonna come on under this heel, and you're gonna be walking on them all day. So if you really, really, really like to stack your jeans, a Spur shelf is gonna help with that if you don't do cowboy work. Other than that, you really don't need a Spur shelf, and I would have to say this is my preference just because it's cleaner. It doesn't look as chunky if you're not wearing Spurs. Like, I could be wearing these ones even if I'm stacking my jeans a lot, and it still looks quite hefty at the back because I'm not wearing Spurs. So I prefer this one. It's really personal preference if you're just wearing boots casually. And then the third thing that is probably the biggest difference between all of these Hondo tall tops is midsoles or not. So this Hondo 2670, they actually named this boot after me. It's called the Jeremiah now, which is kind of cool, and you can find it at cartersboots.com. But this one, this doesn't have a midsole. Okay, let me see if I can get this video to focus. So you see the outsole here, and you see the welt here, and then there's the insole on the inside. So no midsole on this. We look at this 3478, this 16-inch tall top, and you can see here that we have a midsole, a leather midsole. We have the outsole here, we have a leather midsole here, and the welt there. So you see 3 different layers. And then we have even a second type of midsole on this 3416. We have a leather outsole here, a rubber midsole, and the leather welt. So you have a piece of rubber in the middle for this midsole instead of a leather midsole or no midsole at all like on the 2670. So what is the point of a midsole? Well, there's a couple of different ideas, and again, there's a couple of different arguments about whether or not it's completely necessary. So for a leather midsole here, the argument for this one, for a leather midsole, is that it keeps the sole stiff. When your foot is in there, when you're in the stirrups, you're in the saddle all day, the idea is that it keeps your feet from getting tired because it's stiffer here, right? So your foot isn't going to be moving around as much, which keeps your foot less tired at the end of the day because you're not moving them around as much. There's not as much flexibility here. But the argument against that is if you just used a heavier weight leather, like a 12 iron piece of leather, then that's stiff enough as it is. So you wouldn't really need a extra piece in here. So if you're using a 12 iron piece of leather though, that's gonna make the price go up. Like this, I think is in the mid 300s. And if you compare it to something like a blackjack boot, which only has one piece of leather, that leather is thicker and it's stiff, probably about the same stiffness as 2 pieces of leather here, including the midsole. They're about the same stiffness for leather outsole. So, and a blackjack is gonna run you $200, $300 more than a Hondo. So you save a little bit of money there, and it keeps that surface stiff for you if you're in the saddle all day. It takes a lot of work to break in if you're just gonna be walking around in them. I can't recommend that you get a leather midsole if you're just gonna be walking around in a pair of boots because it does take a while to break in. Now the argument for the rubber midsole is pretty much the same. It keeps it stiff, right? But if you're in a area where there's more dew on the ground in the morning, it's a little bit more wet. The argument there is that if this leather outsole gets soaked, it's not going to go into the insole because you have this rubber midsole there kind of insulating the dampness of the outsole into the insole. And you know, I'm up in the air on that one too, because if it's that damp, then your welt is going to be getting wet anyways, and dampness, wetness, water comes through these stitches, especially on double stitched welts like that, which makes this leather more perforated, and it's going to get into the boot anyways. So, you know, is a midsole completely necessary in a pair of tall tops? I'm not sure. I'm not completely sold on it, but a cool extra benefit to a midsole, especially a rubber one, is the fact when you run through this leather outsole, which you eventually will, you have that piece of rubber there protecting the insole. You do not want to run a hole through your leather outsole directly into the insole, because then that is going to significantly increase the cost of repairs, if it can be repaired at all by your local cobbler. So that piece of rubber in here is going to protect your insole when you get a hole in this leather outsole. So midsole, I'm not a huge fan of it. I'd have to say that of all of the Hondo tall tops that I have, this one right here, the 2670, also the one that's named after me, the Jeremiah, is my favorite, as you could probably guess. I like everything about this one. It was much easier to break in than the other two because there isn't a midsole in here. It also has just a very tight rand, a heel rand here, so there's no shelf really for spurs or anything. So I think this is the best one, but like I said, it all comes down to your preferences and what you're looking for. And if you guys are shopping for some Hondo tall tops, I do have a code where you can save 10% on all Hondos, including Hondo tall tops, at cartersboots.com. So you shop at cartersboots.com, you use code Jeremiah Craig, no spaces. Use that code at checkout and it'll save you 10% on your order there. And I want to thank you guys for watching today in this quick little video. Thanks for the question too. It made me think about, you know, what is the best Hondo? And they really are all made the same with just a few little differences that we just discussed in this video. And now that you know the differences, what kind of Hondo tall top would you choose? Let me know in the comments. If this is your first time here, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Rock those Hondo tall tops, shotgun jeans and see their color pop. Classic boots that you will love a lot, whether you wear them in the saddle or not.
Thank you so much for watching today. Why don't you check out this Hondo boots video up here? Or I got a music video down here I think you might enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe up here, and I will see you next time. Peace.